I set up a Google alert for Mike Flanagan, just like because I like to keep abreast of what's going on with our topic.
Sure.
You know how many like dumbass fucking stories people write that are just like iterations of the same thing over and over again that I get to see in my daily Mike Flanagan Google alert.
I'm gonna
It's
guess all of them.
Jesus, yeah, like movie web. Screen Rant is the worst one. That's just like, this Netflix show is a classic, and like, okay, I agree, but then like the article has nothing of value into it at all. Like,
Yeah. The
that's
the
bad.
content mill situation has gotten out of hand.
Yeah, and I don't even try to not to blame the people, because like people write, if people are still writing it at this point, but the people writing them, don't shake your head. I don't want to believe that. But like they gotta work like anyone else has got to work. But like, man, it's brutal.
At this point, it would be ridiculous to pay human beings to write that when it's just a repeated, like,
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean it's really bad. Hello and welcome to Flanagan's Wake, a Doof Media podcast, cat sitting for Mike Flanagan. My name is Scott Daly, and joining me, as always, he's just down in his basement tinkering with his gigabytes or whatever. It's Matt Freeman. How's it going, Matt?
Imagine we find out that she's actually just swapping out a bunch of RAM, and she's actually just tinkering with her gigabytes.
I mean, that's what he said she was doing, Matt. Why would he lie?
That's a good point. He was being very literal there, I know.
This week on the show, our coverage of Mike Flanagan's The Fall of the House of Usher continues with our fourth episode. We have reached the halfway point of the show. It's titled The Black Cat, and it is our Napoleon Usher episode. Leo might think he's gotten away from all that Usher stuff, but he hasn't escaped, Matt, from the Usher children's propensity for dying horribly, because he battles an evil cat to his doom. Also, we're seeing the rest of the Usher children, the surviving Usher children, aren't doing so hot either, as Verna continues to appear before them, slowly laying the seeds for whatever she's got planned for their ultimate demise over the course of the next few weeks. We're halfway, Matt. 3 kids are dead. How you feeling about this episode?
I love this episode. This is a very fun one. I think, I don't know, I've been looking forward to seeing Rahul Kohli's performance as he is driven mad by the Black Cat for some time now.
Mm-hmm.
And it was exactly what I wanted and hoped it to be.
Did you have a smash a wall open with Thor's hammer on your bingo card?
I did not anticipate that Thor's hammer would be utilized, or that he would say, "I'll just call up Hemsworth and get another hammer."
As if Chris Hemsworth is just like giving him out like candy.
Yeah, that's perfect.
But Rahul Kohli is worthy. We didn't know. We know now. He's worthy to wield the power of Thor.
He is. He was trying to fight a very evil cat, and he almost got him.
He didn't do the spinny thing with the hammer. He would have just flown, and he wouldn't have died.
It's true. That was his mistake.
Yeah. I'm glad to hear you like this episode. I did a lot too. I think Rahul Kohli is having a lot of fun here. I think just like across the board, I mean, this is an episode about death and horrible people doing horrible things, but man, is it fun. Like, this was a funny episode of the show. Like, we Matt Bydell and what he's doing, Henry Thomas and the things that he's doing with the Frederick character. Rahul Kohli, of course, is having a great time too. Every one of these characters is firing on my funny bone in this week's episode. Like, I thought this was a very, very funny episode, and also very effective, and really starting to kind of perhaps crystallize for us what the show is ultimately doing and saying. Like, we've asked questions and we've thought about things over the course of the last 2 deaths. And I think, as we often say, you get to the third one, you have enough to start seeing the pattern. And I think we've, in this episode, started seeing the pattern.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a good point. I think we're going to have some bigger thematic conversations this week.
Yeah, definitely. You want to just get right into it?
Let's
Let's
do
do
it.
it. The Fall of the House of Usher, Episode 4, The Black Cat. This was written for television by Matt Johnson and Mike Flanagan. It was, once again, Danny Parker and Rebecca Klingel as story editors. It was directed by Michael Famignari. Again, it was edited by Brett W. Bachman, and Michael Famignari was the DP once again. Let's begin, Matt, with the beginning. Let's talk about our opening scene with Leo Usher at a kill shelter, trying to find a replacement cat for the cat he horribly stabbed to death in the previous episode. I really like, we established our first shot of the episode is through the window of the shelter. We see Leo's gaudy, bright yellow sports car, which will end up being like a perfect mirroring shot to the end of the episode as well. I think this show likes to do that, right? Where the beginning always kind of mirrors the end a little bit. And so how would this sports car mirror the death of Leo as he falls out of his apartment at the end of the episode? Well, he lands right behind the sports car, and the angle is showing the sports car basically from the same angle as we see starting here. So I really love that like establishing beat. It reminds us of the yellow of Leo's color, of course, and it's just also reminds us of like what Leo's deal is. He's the one that has like the very ridiculous gaudy sports car. I mean, Perry had one as well, but
yeah. Yeah, it's interesting to compare and contrast him with Perry, right? Because Perry desperately wanted to belong to the Usher family and wanted to feel included, whereas Leo, wants to not be included, but he's willing to be complicit. I think this is a concept we've mentioned a couple times, and I think it's coming up here in a way where we actually get to examine it, because his family sort of confronts him a little bit later, obviously not in this exact intro scene, but a little bit later, after they find out that their sister has died. They tell him, hey, we're all going to form a wall. We're going to be a unified front here. And they say, you're going to give this media statement because, we think that's best. And he refuses. And it seems like maybe this is the first time he's ever refused a request from the family.
Yeah.
And he says, you can disinherit me, right? And it's like, wow, that's a wild thing for him to be saying, because he's so he seems to be so dependent on the money, right? Which actually kind of created a question in my mind, like, is his kind of video game empire actually self-sustaining, or does he actually just like still suckle on his father's teat? And not that it matters either way, but I was just wondering, what to read into the fact that he chooses now to be the first time that he ever stands up to the family, right as he begins his final spiral into death.
Yeah, I mean, I the video game industry is not doing great right now, Matt. It's very expensive to make big, expensive games, and they have to sell a ridiculous amount of copies to be profitable. So I think maybe it's safe to say that the money is propping up his business in a way that perhaps it wouldn't have survived otherwise. I like what you said about him, being standing up to the family for maybe the first time. I think that the evidence of that is in Roderick Usher's expression when when Leo like holds firm, right? Like he says, cut me out of the will, I don't care. And then he walks off. Pym grabs him to hold him in place, and he looks back at his dad. And Roderick does have this look of surprise on his face, like I can't believe you're going to do this. I can't believe you're actually going to stand up to me. And that's when he like gives Pym the authority to release him. Right. So I think that's exactly what that was communicating. I agree with you that this is an unusual situation. This hasn't happened before. And I think that is kind of in line with what we saw of Leo of the previous 3 episodes, is because he thinks he's kind of separate and away from it. He doesn't have even cause very often to like challenge or go against what his family is doing or saying. He's just kind of like, yeah, whatever. I'm just going to get high and make some video games, and whatever you want to do, I don't care. But yeah, this has pushed him into the place where he can't do that, because Camille's death also really does affect him too. We see that like Perry's death really affected him. Camille's death really affected him. Now that he's dead, I think the people feeling bad for their siblings portion of the show is over, because it doesn't seem like anyone else really cares that their siblings keep dying. I'm sure they'll care when it's their turn, but that's about it.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how they react because the first two really, really seem like freak accidents. Okay. The third one also really, really seems like a freak accident. But once your siblings start dying in reverse birth order,
yeah,
and you're number 4 on that list, don't you start to say, I wonder if something's going on here?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think like we said, 3 is a pattern, right? Like,
yeah.
1 establishes, 2 confirms, but it's too early to make a conclusion on it. And once you've got 3, that's like, okay, there's a pattern to this now. So yeah, it's gonna be, I think the beginning of the next episode is gonna be really fun, and seeing how the remaining 3 children react to that, for sure. I did as we get into this episode and we talk about Leo and the colors, I wanted to revisit this thing with the colors with you, Matt, because I think we established this in the very first episode, that every single one of the kids is kind of assigned a color, and that is in their wardrobe, in how their sets are decorated. Basically, there's just this color motif that follows them around everywhere. As a reminder, it was Perry is red, Camille is like a silver or white, Leo's yellow, Victorine is orange, Tammy is green, and Frederick is blue. But we haven't, Matt, ever like really talked about like what do these colors mean, other than like a fun gimmick that falls in line with the Mask of the Red Death, the Poe story. Like, why are we doing this outside of that? And I think we should just do that now. We have 3 now. We see that Perry is the color of red. You know, that's the color of love, right? Of passion, but it also can be the color of lust, of anger, of rage. I think these are things that I think are fair to describe Perry. Camille is this silver or perhaps white color. That's like a cold color. It's a sterile color. It's kind of empty. It's devoid of any of that red passion we saw. And I think that kind of fits Camille, right? She's kind of this very empty person. And then so we get to yellow. And what is yellow? What is yellow? Well, yellow is like the color of happiness and joy and sunshine, right? Right?
Yeah, but some other stuff too.
Yeah, it's also the color of cowardice, right? Your yellow is also like sometimes referred to as the color of greed, right? This is the yellow / gold, money. This is a color that can associate greed and excess. And maybe not excess in the amount of like money in and of itself, because I think all these characters represent excess in the amount of money. But I think Leo's drug use and his excess and in that part is kind of the primary focus of what's happening to him in this episode, at least.
I was also thinking about yellow as the color of madness, and specifically like the king in yellow, and
I love that. Yeah,
the yellow wallpaper, and the yellow wallpaper especially jumped to mind because he's bashing holes through his walls, which that's not a thing that happens in that short story, but it is this idea that there's something in the wallpaper, there's something in the walls, and Leo's smashing through the walls. Obviously also a very sort of Poe feeling moment, but I think also a Lovecraft feeling moment. I mean, that's kind of why I was tying it with madness is the other 2 characters, the way they die is kind of in the middle of their them going about their daily lives, if you will. Whereas, well, okay, it's them doing the thing that gets them in trouble. Let me put it that way. Yeah. Which is the same thing here, where he's just doing a ton of drugs and he's going crazy is the point. He's going mad. He's going mad because he keeps taking these yellow pills, and many other
little yellow pills,
yellow pills, and many other drugs too. Obviously, I think that was a nicely set up thing that we were going to talk about at some point. Is that his drug use has increased as he's been under more stress from the deaths of his siblings, to the point where his boyfriend is pointing it out and saying, like, you know, basically this is far in excess even of your normal superhuman drug intake, and it would be great if you could cut back. And you know, all of the cat stuff is likely just his hallucinations, his drug induced hallucinations. And then the kind of an open question whether there's something supernatural involved there. But we could literally just say, no, it's just his brain is breaking down from all the drugs.
Yeah. I mean, the thing I'm going to propose right here is that the cat doesn't exist and never existed. Now, whether that's truly just, I mean, we still don't know the nature of Verna and what Verna is actually like physically doing. I should say we do know that Verna exists in the physical world, right? We didn't say that last week, that they have her on camera at Perry's party. They have her on camera at the Rue Morgue. So like she does exist in the physical space of the world because she's been recorded. But then we also have her presence in this episode, as she is essentially the cat, right? Like we see her in this introductory scene. She's wearing a collar with a bell on it. She's the cat. She's just the cat that comes true later. But also, if you go back and watch the scene, as we're seeing all the cats in the shelter, the cat that he picks, that is the cat, the uncanny, looks like the Pluto cat, is the only one without a nameplate on its cage. Because there's not a real cat in there, because this is all fake. And I think the show does eventually show you to this point. There's that wonderful shot when we go back to the bathtub after Leo has fallen, where we see that the bathtub is actually empty. There was no dead birds in it. There was nothing. I believe it's actually when he lands on the ground and one eye is up, that's the eye that got scratched. And I believe we do see that the eye is not scratched as well. And the thing you realize in watching the episode a couple times is that nobody but Leo ever actually sees the cat. Jules, his boyfriend, mentions, "I haven't seen the cat since you got home. Where is it?" And they're never in the scene together. When Frederick is over a little bit later and the cat jumps on, the cat gets his eye, Frederick doesn't see the cat. In fact, when Leo was like, "Get the cat," Henry Thomas, in his just amazing comedy work that is throughout this entire episode, is like looking around like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Yeah.
And like, it seems like, I think on a first viewing, you might say, "Oh, Henry Thomas noticed his eye was scratched." But then when you watch it again, all he says is "Did it get your eye?" Because like Leo's holding his eye. And then he says, "You got to wash that out."
Yeah.
as he's washing it out. So I don't think he saw anything. So
No.
yeah, I mean, I really think this idea of the cat was never there. But I think as I've taken a long time to get to your point, which is essentially like, okay, but was the cat not there supernaturally, or was the cat not there because this is just a representative of Leo's excessive drug use that is causing him to hallucinate things?
Yeah. I think the fact that we do see her on the video feeds pushes me in the direction of, you know, she's sort of supernaturally messing with them. But it's interesting because it's like, it's only in the way that they are sort of asking for it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, and yet again, I almost forgot this moment, but yet again, she gives him the out where she says, you know, this cat is not for sale. We have other buyers. You can't have it. And he just insists. And I think this is the crux of Leo, and why I think you're right to tie the idea of gold and money and wealth into being part of his problem, is he's used to buying himself out of every problem.
Yeah.
Because the way he solves this problem is to shift the focus to being about money, and to say, you know, there's no problem I can't solve with money.
Yeah.
And that's when
he says, "I'm a money bomb," is what he says, which is a very distinct word usage there. Yeah, I agree. And I just to say it, he doesn't have to replace this cat, right? Like the whole like replacing a cat with an identical cat so the person won't notice is like the old pet switcheroo thing that you do for like a child who doesn't really understand loss and death, and also, you know, that pets sometimes run away. Like, I'm not even saying he has to be honest and say, "Listen, babe, I stabbed the cat to death, so I bought us a new cat." He can just say, "The cat ran away. I went looking for it. I was at a shelter, couldn't find it. But the nice lady at the shelter showed me these two cats that were scheduled to be killed, and I felt bad, so I bought these two cats instead." And that's the way he could like make up for his partner feeling bad and feeling sad about losing their animal, right? Like, he didn't have to exactly replace the cat. Jules would have understood Jules would have understood the lie that he could have very easily have told to get out of this situation he was in. But that's not enough for them. And as you said, Verna is giving him an out over and over again. Like, there are some really lovely cats here who won't make it if someone doesn't intervene. We're not a kill-free shelter. These cats get a limited amount of time. They're going to die. You can do something about it. And he just doesn't give a shit. He just doesn't care at all.
Yeah, it is really interesting that he can't. So he's a very specific, unusual kind of bad person, because you're right that, like, maybe even a more commonplace sort of bad person would just get rid of the cat's body and be like, I don't know, I haven't seen it.
Cat ran away. They do that sometimes.
And not that not even make any effort to replace it. Just be like, oh, your cat's gone. Sorry,
Yeah.
but like he actually seems to feel guilty about having done this and want to restore and repair the mistake, but not to repair the mistake in a mature adult way, to repair the mistake in a convoluted I'm going to buy myself out of this bad feeling way.
Sitcom plot.
Yeah. And fundamentally, I think it's interesting, because I was like, he is the only one of the Usher children who really seems to care about other people at all. Like, he cares about his siblings and he gets sad when they die. Yeah. And you feel like he does care about his boyfriend. Like he it's not entirely guilt it's not entirely his own guilt. It's the guilt that he killed his boyfriend's cat, and he's like, I want to fix that. But then he immediately stops caring about him when he asks him to stop doing drugs, which I thought was a pretty interesting moment, and says a lot about the character, obviously.
Yeah, and the idea that this is not the first time this has happened, that like this is what he does. He dates someone until they take him even close out of his comfort zone, or out of the zone, the spot in his life he wants to live, and then immediately he cuts them off and moves on to the next person. I mean, I do think he has feelings for his boyfriend. Sure, I don't think it's just about that that he gets midnight blowjobs from him when he can't sleep. Although, like, let's just say it, like, Jules is like the perfect boyfriend. Like, he's so patient and kind with him. He's trying to support him the best he can. I really love that moment where he like walks over to him and he's almost like afraid of touching him. He like wants to put his arm around him, but he's like afraid of touching him. And then he eventually does it, and then Leo just like looks over at him and he just backs off and is like, okay, whatever. Like, he's so patient and kind and considerate, and the midnight blowy, just like the best guy. And so, I mean, like, you can totally see why Leo would like this guy. The only thing I'm not sure I see is why he likes Napoleon Usher. Napoleon just seems like, I mean, I guess like a fun person to like meet at a party and like party with. Like, I understand why we would have that level of friendship, but like our relationship with this guy, I think, would be torturous.
Yeah. I mean, he's rich. He's handsome. He's got a really engaging personality, even if he is a train wreck. I can see it.
There's a lot of video games too.
Yep.
Shoot, I'd date him.
Yeah. He's Rahul Kohli, like just
that is part of it that I did not consider, is the he is Rahul Kohli part of it. Yeah. But so the money bomb part, I think you're right, is us setting up that this is why he doesn't just buy another cat to replace, because like he's of the person, like, I have a problem, money can solve my problem. That is what I do. I get a problem and money solves it. I think the idea that, I'm assuming this place that he lives with his boyfriend is his because he's incredibly rich. But he does say, when Frederick is like, "Oh, I like your place," he's like, "Yeah, it's going to be changing again because I just fired the boyfriend. He's dead and he doesn't even know it." Is the implication there that he's going to move to a new place? Because like, he can't just break up with a guy. He's got to be like, "Well, time to get an entirely new penthouse suite because money solves all my problems."
Possibly. I like that idea. I didn't think of that. I didn't even really notice that. But yeah, he's probably just incapable of staying in this place because it reminds him of this guy, and and he can't abide feeling bad for 2 seconds. I mean, so this is an element I don't know that I quite put together until this moment. But most people I know who abuse drugs, or most people I've known over the years who abuse drugs of any kind, right? We can call alcohol a drug, call marijuana a drug. It's because they don't want to feel bad things, right?
Yeah.
And so that is why people become dependent on drugs, is typically because they want to control how they feel.
Yeah.
And that is exactly what his character flaw is he's running away from these feelings of guilt that are associated with the things that his family is doing, and of course his own actions in this episode, but just in general he's using drugs to control his emotional state and to kind of make him into this gregarious character like the guy he is when this episode starts, where like he's charming, he's funny, he's witty. You can very easily see being taken in by the force of this guy's personality, but that's all the momentum of that is propped up by the drugs that he's doing.
Yeah. No, you're so right. And I think this really fits into the Roderick side of this, who like basically sets our themes of the episode up as denial and displacement. These are these things that Leo does a lot, and I think that is part of pushing the emotions away from himself. That like, yeah, I mean, like as compared to like Camille, Leo is a person that feels everything, and he doesn't want, he can't handle that, and so he pushes it away, or he pushes it onto something else. Denial, displacement, these things. I'd rather just get high and avoid rather than deal with any of this stuff. And that eventually drives him insane to where he starts smashing all his walls with Mjolnir, Thor's hammer. How did he in the shot when Jules walks back into the apartment, there's holes in the ceiling. How did he do that?
He threw it at the ceiling,
and then it came back because it's Mjolnir.
And then it came right back. Yeah.
Cool.
That's great. I love his performance during the part where he just becomes totally unhinged and starts to go after the cat. Like I don't know if this is a side of Rahul Kohli we've ever seen where he just is completely animalistically enraged and running around just completely losing it.
Yeah, that's just Tuesday for him.
Yeah. No, it was. I loved it though. It was great.
No, I mean, I think if you recall when we got to talk to him a few months ago, one of the things he did say is that like, he played Owen and he played Sheriff Hassan, and those were characters that were very, very different from the type of person he is. And so the comment from the rest of the cast as they were getting to know him as a real person were like, you were very different. You were very different from the characters that you were portraying. And this character is closer to Rahul Kohli, not in the murderous drug obsessed part of it, but like the parts you were talking about, the charming, the funny, the outspoken. So like that he's getting to play that part of it for sure. I think he does the animalistic, like running around part very, very well. I think that's great. And we should just say, like, the way Mignari shoots that whole sequence with the tint of the yellow from the sun coming through the windows is just wonderful. It's really great.
Yeah, I agree.
It did make me a little sad to see Hannah and Owen like arguing at the table. Didn't like when Victorine and Leo are arguing with each other. I was like, no, don't fight. You love each other. That is, I mean, we get to see this once again. We get to see this family meeting for the second episode in a row. They're all getting together to discuss the death of their sibling. Leo, as we said, is the only one that cares. And we see kind of how the other family is reacting. Victorine is like deflecting blame. Like, this wasn't my fault. I didn't tell her to go here. Cammy is just entirely interested in Goldbug. She's just like, I have the launch. And I think it's funny that we really don't understand what Goldbug is at this point. I think we learn later in the episode it's like a lifestyle brand. I think Camille calls it like Goop. But like, even Roderick, when he's threatening to kill Victorine's funding, he said, should I reroute that money to Leo's video games or Tammy's bugs? It's like Tammy's bugs. It's not about the bug, right? It's just like, it's hilarious that this is a name that people obviously don't understand what it is yet, and we don't either.
Yeah, it is pretty interesting. I wonder about the concept of a launch, because like she's attached all of her hopes to this idea that she's going to do this launch and that it's going to change her life. It's gonna, and in my experience, like, the launch is not actually that important. Like the launch of, I mean, you and I have done a lot of projects. I've done a lot of other projects in my life. The launch is usually pretty disappointing because it's literally the day when the fewest people know about it outside of, yes, it's public.
Yeah.
But it hasn't had time to actually take root and take on the form that it's going to take on. So like tying all your hopes to the idea of like, it's the launch and then everything will be better. It's like you're just setting yourself up for disappointment. That's just something I was thinking about.
Yeah, you telling me that you don't think the launch of Goldbug is going to go well? Is that what you're saying?
I'm thinking she's going to be disappointed, which, I mean, that's the thing. She's going to be disappointed no matter what. It's possible that her brand was actually a good idea and would have done great in the long term. But
yeah,
she's going to expect it to be perfect immediately because she's this perfectionist and she's this control freak.
It's also like, just like Vic is with her significant other, this thing is entirely riding off the back of Bill T and his exercise empire, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like, that's, we've had that said rather explicitly, but let's just reinforce it again. Like, she's building a lifestyle brand, but the only reason this lifestyle brand is getting a quote unquote launch at all is because it's got the backing of a rather famous fitness guy. I think 10,000 subscribers or something, or 10 million subscribers is what we're told. So like Bill T, as much as we make fun of Built the fucking fitness clown, like, he's very successful in his thing. Like, and this is, we talked a little bit about this last week, and maybe let's just say it again. Like, a lot of the relationships you see between the Ushers and the people they love, or the people they're in relationships with, like, you can kind of see the, like, leeching on for money portion of that, and money and success, and like, this is what I like. I don't think like Bill T is like Usher rich, but he's probably doing all right independent of Tammy, right?
Yeah.
And that really builds this perhaps image of this relationship. And this is what Matt Bidell talked a little bit about when we talked to him, was like, maybe one time years ago, like, this was just a happy two people in love, actually. Like, this was actual real love, and they fell in love with each other, and they got married, and they started this thing together, and he had his thing, and then she wanted to build her own thing, as every Usher child does, and it seemed to link up with his very well. But that's, I mean, that's gone now.
Yeah. Yeah, I like you pointing. I mean, another thing I was thinking about is that she's sort of parasitizing off of the thing that he's built. Basically, he has this empire, and she's forcing him to put her branding on the thing that he has built. And it in the video that we see, it feels very weird and artificial, where he's like, I forget exactly what he says, but it's something like, and now we're in partnership with the new lifestyle brand, Goldbug. And you're like, and you just imagine being the viewer being like, I don't know what that means. And
he doesn't really explain what it means. He's like, I think they had like a Goldbug contest or whatever, where some of them got to appear in studio. One of which we see is Verna. But just to say it, something I noticed literally right before we started recording. One of the Goldbug winners, Matt, is a Mr. Mike Flanagan. If you look at the episode, he's there with a backwards cap on, and he's wearing a Built shirt. Bill T gives him a fist bump, and clearly he fist bumped him too hard, because poor Mike Flanagan is rubbing his wrist because it hurt him too much. It's so funny. Oh my gosh, he's there. Check it out, folks. But yeah, no, to get back to your point, yeah, like, it's obviously like integrated in this, right? And she's watching the live stream, right? She's watching his live stream. Why is she watching his live stream? Is she watching his live stream because she wants to support him and see how today's live stream is going to go? No, because it's the one where he's talking about Built, right? There, he's talking about Goldbug. Yeah. Just like checking it, like, did you mention Goldbug? The amount of times you have to mention it. Did you like that? That's my read of it, at least.
Yeah. I mean, there is something really interesting about this specific thing that I don't know if I've ever quite put my finger on before, but I feel like I'm just in my head from now on, I'm just going to call it the Goldbug phenomenon, where it's like people want to sort of like hyperstition into existence a brand or a public awareness of a thing. And so they create like a name for it, and then they put energy toward being like, everyone, we need to raise awareness of this thing that I want you to know about. And it's like, that's not really the way that attention works. Like things, people's attention gravitates to things that are interesting. And then what tends to happen is once something catches fire, then a smart kind of savvy business person will like put a label on it and be like, yeah, that's my thing. It's now branded. It's my thing. Now I've got searchability. You can find me in my thing, but fundamentally it has to be something that people actually like in the first place. And just as you said, this is like a totally empty label with no product associated with it as far as we can tell. And so we're just confused. And
just the idea of Goop calling it like, or of Camille calling it Goop, like that's already a thing. Like I mean, I think that's kind of the joke about no one really understanding what Goldbug is that like, what is it? And how is it substantially different from what Bill is already doing with his exercise stuff, right? Like we don't know yet. And maybe in the Tammy episode, we'll get to learn about it and be like, oh, that's a really good idea, actually. But I do think it is continually part of the joke that like Tammy's got her bugs and she's doing something with her bugs and no one quite understands what it is or what it means. And that it's entirely dependent on her husband. It is not something she's built at all herself. Yeah.
Just one more note on the live stream. My favorite part is when he goes, "I'm built and you can too."
I'm built and you can too.
Your favorite part is not "we built this city"?
That was also great, but I knew that was coming because we had talked with Matt about that. Whereas, I was delighted by that.
I will repeat what I said on that interview that I loved that scene and I did not know that was a Matt Bydel idea, and I'm so happy that they got the rights to that song to do it because I just loved it to death. I loved it so much, and I also love that, like, you can kind of see that. So they have this great funny idea for this "we built this body" joke, and it works so well, and it's so funny. And then it's like, all right, well, we spent all this money getting this song, so let's just carry the song into the next scene, which is Leo, sitting down to play Cyberpunk on his computer and realizing he sat on a dead animal, and then there's another dead animal in his shoe, which is just wonderful tonal, like, incongruence. Like it makes the scene just wonderful, and that was totally in my mind like we've already paid for the song, we should use more of it because we paid for it.
No, you're right, it is a weird surreal horror to have the song while he's the way it's shot when he finds the animal in his shoe is just so dread laden. I love it.
I did want to talk a little bit about, I'm kind of jumping all over the place, but I wanted to talk about the conversation that Roderick has with Victorine, because we've got a couple things with Vic in this episode, setting up what is surely going to pay off in next week's episode, which is the Telltale Heart is our Vic episode. We have her going forward and this really interesting conversation between Vic and Roderick, where Roderick is basically like, I know Camille, I know she's smart, I know if she was at your place, she was there for a reason. What was the reason? And Vic has no good answer for her, right? Like, she's got nothing because she knows exactly the reason, because she knows exactly what she's doing wrong. And I really love, I don't think we said this last week, so just to say it, like, she says the argument of like, the device does not increase aggression, is what she says to her dad. That's absolutely not true. The device does not increase aggression in these apes. Well, sure, Vic. What about all the adrenaline that you're pumping into their body to keep them alive? Does that maybe increase their aggression? Maybe, Victorine? Maybe? So it's one of those lie-by technicality, right? She didn't say there was nothing else that increases their aggression, but no. The device itself, of course, the device isn't actually in those monkeys too, which is the funny part.
Liking her less and less with each episode as we see her basically just try to weasel out of admitting any kind of fault with her father, and then ultimately use the idea that it's ready for human trials just to get him to back down, which is just her digging her own grave even deeper, because it's like, that it's not. I think we were going to tie this all in eventually, but the idea that this episode is largely about denial. A lot of the stuff that we've been talking about with Leo, where a lot of it is guilt, but a lot of it is also denial at the same time, or rather denial in order to avoid guilt, is how I might say that. And hers is denial to avoid, getting her just desserts, which is failure. I mean, which isn't the end of the world, right? Like, I think that's one of the kind of tragic things about some of these characters is, if she were just honest and said, hey, the medical device, the experimental, highly complex medical device that we've been working on, it's not going to work out. You have wasted your money, and I'm sorry, but this just happens. In fact, it happens quite a lot. And maybe we can try again with a new design, or maybe we'll just I'll just do something else. This is disappointing. This is a setback, but like, you've got to be able to fail in life. And that's one, I think, attribute of the Usher children is they don't feel like they can fail, even though they probably can. Like, they could probably fail, and their dad would just be like, he would swear at them and call them dumb and whatever, and compare them unfavorably to their siblings, but they'd probably get another shot. They'd probably get another at bat. I don't think he would, that's one of his only actual principles that he lives by, is that he never shuts the door on them, no matter what.
Yeah. The idea of the cutting out of the will is a constant threat that he holds up in front of them. But I think in actuality, I think Roderick has made it clear that one of his core principles, and one of the ways he constantly reinforces in himself that I am a good person, is this idea that, like, I will never leave my children out in the cold. I will never deny my children. I will never tell my children they're not an Usher. So like, that's actually probably an empty threat. I think you're right.
Yeah.
He certainly uses it to manipulate them, because he's not a good person, but yeah, I think you're totally right there.
Yeah.
And gosh, this thing with Victorine, like, just like, what do you think's gonna happen? Like, like, she goes through the whole thing with Verna posing as this woman with a bad heart, has her sign all the paperwork, has her go through the thing. Verna even says, "Oh, so it'll be the doctor that does the surgery on me then?" And Dr. Ruiz, before in the surgery herself, and she goes, yeah, definitely. No, like, she's not gonna. You're not ready for human trial. Like, all I was thinking about watching the scene is a Netflix documentary I watched the other day. Everyone's been talking about. It's called Maternal Instinct. It was like one of the most fucked up stories, true crime stories I've ever heard in my entire life. But the woman at the center of this whole thing was this woman who just like kept lying, and then just like kept double downing on the like, just kept going, like, again and again and again, to the point where you're just like, you're standing back and you're like going, what do you think is going to happen? Like you cannot lie your way out of this situation. And that's what I'm looking at Vic here. I'm like, how are you going to get out of this? Now you've brought a person in, you've made her sign consent forms.
Good thing I trust you.
Who is going to do this? Are you going to do the surgery? Is that what you're going to do?
I think she is.
And then when this human being dies, which she will, because this thing doesn't work, then what? Right? It's just like, what are you thinking? Like, eventually, like, you get to a point where you just build lie on top of lie. There has to be a point where you finally just go like, I can't lie myself out of this anymore. And it just seems like Victorine is just like heading straight long into that wall off that cliff, whatever. And it's just like, just stop. And of course she doesn't. She can't.
Yeah, she can't, even though, I mean, in actuality, she could, and it would be totally fine. That's again, it's like you are born into immense wealth and privilege. You actually have the ability to completely fail and to be totally fine. Unlike most people, you completely fail at something of that magnitude, it's at least going to be a major setback in terms of your life's trajectory. Yeah. For her, it's going to be a chewing out from her dad.
Right. Yeah.
So
she's not going to get fired from her job. Like, she's not going to be thrown out on the streets. She's not going to have to wonder where her next meal comes from. Yeah, she's going to feel like a failure, and that's no fun. And her dad, might look at her less favorably than the other children. Sure, not great. But yeah, like, has immense privilege and wealth, and she's going to be fine. Yeah. I also, it stood out to me how she talks to her dad in that scene. Did you notice that? Like, she basically, like,
fuck you. Right.
Drops the F-bomb at him a couple, like, she talks to him more forcefully and angrily than any of the other kids we've seen so far. Like, even Perry, who talks shit about Roderick behind his back, wouldn't do it to his face. I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, and he kind of just ignores it, really. It is interesting. I think this is an interesting episode because I think there were a couple of moments where the kids pushed back on him, and if anything, it made him maybe a little proud. Like, I wanted to get back to this moment. We kind of touched upon it earlier, but so I want to contextualize this properly. But first, I'll just talk about the specific thing I wanted to talk about, which is when Leo storms out and tells him, I'm not going to do it, after he gives his speech about the wall and I'm the commanding officer and I want to hear sir, yes sir, Leo leaves. And I took Roderick's expression as being like pleased and proud, like wow. And so okay, so the contextualization I wanted to make is, in that speech he is channeling what his boss did when he was a young man. His young man gave us almost exactly the same speech and said, we are a family and we're gonna be side by side and we're gonna form an impenetrable wall. And I want to hear you say, sir, yes, sir. And little baby Roderick in that scene, he says, sir, yes, sir. And actually I love that his eye twitches a little bit when he says it. It's this little acting choice of like, this is costing him to say this. He's really not happy, but he says it. And then years later, he's in the same position and he expects the same reaction from his children, who he has browbeaten for their entire lives. And Leo stands up to him and says no, and he's like, I don't want to hear anything. Wow, sir. Yes, sir. Maybe I should have done that. Maybe my life would have been different if I had stood up to that guy and he had just fired me in that moment instead of this path that I've been on. Who knows, right? Who knows what I loved his reaction in that moment, though.
No, that's a great call. I agree. I think your reading is just correct, that there is a little bit of pride in there, that these good for nothing kids are standing up to me as they should. And I'm very glad you called that Rufus thing out as well, because that's a fun thing that I get to do as the person who knows what's coming, is I get to listen to you over the last few episodes say like, yeah, it seems like Roderick is really acting a lot like Rufus, and me being like, yeah, that's an interesting observation, Matt, knowing that this scene is coming where he literally repeats a thing he learned from Rufus verbatim. That was a lot of fun for me. that yes, obviously Roderick Usher has formulated a lot of the person he is as an adult from the experiences he had with Rufus. And also his sister, right? This kind of 1-2 punch of Rufus is the type of CEO you're supposed to be, and his sister pushing him into these things and these places, which we'll see in this episode as well, right? That he comes back from that meeting with Rufus Griswold, which by the way, just like Trucco, we've talked about Michael Trucco and how much we like him. I think he's so good in this Rufus Griswold character. Like, he's just like the perfect smarmy asshole guy. Just like the way he delivers that speech and the way he constantly deflects. Like, Roderick goes in there saying, okay, the thing I want to talk to you about is the fact that someone forged my signature on these documents. And it takes him like 5 minutes to get there because Rufus is just like ranting about these people trying to get in their way of their testing. Let's remember that Rufus Griswold is currently engaged in corpse theft to hide deaths by whatever. I don't even know if this is ligadone. I think this is just some other thing that they're doing at the time. He's digging people up and stealing them so he can't get incriminated in this. And yes, clearly forging Roderick's signature, clearly intending Roderick to be some sort of fall guy, if anything ever blows up because of this. And so he's just completely deflecting from that. But then the second he finally has to answer, he starts with threats, but just like the last scene, he starts with threatening him, then eventually moves into, you're part of the club now, Roderick, and look at this car I drive. Don't you want to drive a cool car like me? And it's just like, it's so smarmy and good. I also really like Famignari's camera, the way it moves in the scene. Like, it's a lot of the push-ins on characters that we do in our extended monologues. But one of the things I noticed is there's this like sweeping camera move as the camera kind of moves around to Roderick's front. And it's not as Roderick is talking, it's while Trucco is talking to him. So I like the camera in this scene a lot, but I loved the scene as a whole.
Yeah, me too. I think last week I would have believed that this guy was actually grooming Roderick to be his successor or something like that, that he actually saw something in him. And I think this week makes it pretty clear that he is manipulating him to use him. Either he was planning the whole time to use him as a fall guy, or he just kind of, I think much like the modern older Roderick, he just likes having a lot of people who are under his thumb. Yeah. And I mean, I've seen this firsthand in the business world, sort of like taking a younger a younger, ambitious employee and giving them completely empty suggestion of like you could go really far here. You really have what it takes, and someday, I'm not writing this down. Notice, I'm not writing this in any contractual language, but someday you're gonna go right to the top.
Yeah.
And it's very seductive for a young person because in their mind they're like, I've just been promised greatness, and the person who's talking to them is just like, I'm getting a lot of free labor out of this person by insinuating that they're going to get rewarded. They're going to get some nascent reward in the far future that I absolutely am not obligated to give them.
Mm-hmm.
Warning.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely correct. And I mean, it is interesting that we do, like, because of the structure of the show, we know that Roderick does, like, everything that Rufus says to him in that speech comes true to some extent, right? Like, he does get to be in the executive club. He does eventually get control of the company. He does have all the money and any expensive car he wants to buy. We know that all happens, but I think one of the things the show is doing in this moment is priming us to be like, well, how's that going to happen? Because I no longer believe that's going to happen just because Rufus Griswold has coached this guy into a leadership position. Clearly not. He's manipulating him. He's using him. He's positioning him to take a fall if necessary. And I don't think, I think you're right. I don't think he has any like clear plan of exactly how he's going to use Roderick. I think it's just convenient to have a person like this around to, as you said, get free work out of, but also just have there to dump something on if you need something to be dumped on.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, that's one of the central mysteries of how does that happen ultimately? How does Griswold fall and Roderick rise?
I still lean toward they literally murder him, and see, I was saying before they're gonna pendulum him, but now I'm leaning toward they're gonna Amontillado him because of the moment where Roderick is sees the brick wall and hears what to me sounded like the jingling of bells, like Fortunato's bells.
Sure.
From his jester cap.
I don't know. It was just a brick wall, Matt. It was just a camera framed on just a normal looking brick wall. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Okay.
It's one of those things that even if we hadn't read The Cask of Amontillado right before we watched the show, you'd probably be like, oh.
Yeah. Uh-oh.
Oh, yeah. No, I like that a lot. Can we talk about, we started talking about the Roderick and Dupont stuff a little bit, but I really want to get into that because we start this scene with them, the two of them in the chair, and he's talking about denial and displacement. And that's when he also talks about sublimation. He Roderick goes on a shit and is like, yeah, well, so there's a good coping mechanism to deal with this stuff too, and it's called sublimation. It's taking all these things you feel and putting that energy into something good. And Roderick is like, I have that. That's what I have, but none of my kids have ever had that. And at that moment is when Leo literally drops from the ceiling in front of him. And this has been a trend, right? I think we've seen this a couple times throughout the show now. At the moment where Roderick is spouting some fucking bullshit is when one of his dead kids appears to call him out on his bullshit, essentially.
Yeah.
And this one is so clear and obvious to me because I want to ask the question, okay, Roderick, if you are such a master of sublimation, what exactly are you sublimating into a positive thing? Is it just your good business? Is that what it is in your mind? It's like, yeah, well, I'm successful, so look at how I've turned all this negative emotion into my good business. My good business doing all kinds of crimes and under investigation by the government for 27, I think, offenses. Yeah, that's a positive. That's really good sublimation there, Roderick Usher. Good job. That's definitely not denial and displacement at all, buddy. Sure. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's exactly that. I think this is his double think where he feels horribly guilty over all of the things that he's done, and yet he's also proud of them at the same time. And
yeah,
really, really fascinating character. Yeah, so I like that. We were going to talk about the Dupont stuff, I guess, and yeah, he kind of freaks out and yells at the apparition of Leo, and Dupont has this really interesting reaction to that.
Oh man,
where
yeah.
it's I mean, part of me wants to call it an overreaction, and then it's like, well, have you ever had someone like spontaneously like jump up into their chair and start screaming at the floor while you're talking to them? And maybe that's a totally reasonable reaction, to be a little bit shaky after somebody has freaked out on you like this. But it was very specific. It was very specific in its point, and it's like, you cannot raise your voice at me. Like that was the thing that upset him about it.
Yeah, yeah. He said, "I'll knock your goddamn lights out if you raise your voice at me." And the other thing I noticed on a rewatch, the rest of that scene, as we transition into flashing back to them when they first met, Dupont is like shaking. Like he's shaking in anger.
Yeah.
Like that really got to him. And I think perhaps what we're starting to see is that, like, we've known that these two have this contentious relationship for 4 episodes now, right? We this was established at the very beginning that they have this long history together. This episode reveals that long history did not start as adversarial, right? It started as friendship. It started as Roderick. Hey, surprise, Matt. Remember last week when you said you thought that Roderick was the informant? Well, you were right. Just, wrong time period, essentially, because that's the plan that Madeline lays out, is that he's going to continue to kiss ass to Rufus Griswold while establishing this friendly relationship with Dupont as he's investigating. He's going to inform on Fortunato. So there you go. Maybe this is why Roderick so easily believed Dupont when he said that there was an informant in his group, because he knows that the Ushers do that because he did it. And maybe this is why Dupont chose to reveal it in that way, because he knows, like, that's calling back to the origins of their relationship together, right?
Yeah.
Like this is how it all started, actually.
And I mean, he knows that this is a good strategy for dealing with the situation where the ship is going to go down, and then you can say, well, I'm just going to pin it all on that guy, and then he's going to take the fall for the whole thing, and then the empire gets to continue. It would actually, I mean, I'm not saying I think this is happening in this show, but like, if you were in a situation like Roderick, then it wouldn't be a bad idea to sort of construct a situation where you choose one of your kids to be the successor, and then you just very carefully cause everyone else, maybe even including yourself, to take the fall for all the crimes of the company legally, and then and then die of Codicil or whatever, and leaving basically a superficially untarnished legacy for that kid, right? I'm again, don't really think this is what the show's doing at all, but I'm just kind of looking at the cleverness of the setup here.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. It's very clever, and this is all, of course, Madeline's genius idea, right? Madeline, who, just to say it is interesting to me that, at least from what we've seen so far, she is like, I just kept thinking about this when she was talking to Roderick about, like, that this company is our namesake. It's our company. It's ours. It's our legacy. And how kind of okay Madeline is with being the number 2, right? Like, she's the COO in the company, and in the present, she is like pushing her brother to do these things and make these choices, and directing him and forcing him in some ways and guiding him in some ways. But she's very content at not being the face of it, the person who's truly in charge of it all. Or maybe she just likes her brother as the figurehead while she manipulates in the background. It's just interesting. She's a very strong-willed, smart, powerful woman. And maybe she just like reads the room of, like, this is, especially in the 70s, 80s, even through today, that like this is a world that doesn't respect women, like will look at men differently than women, and it allows her to kind of put a figurehead up, but be the person actually making the decisions and pushing things from behind the scenes. I don't know, just something to think about.
Yeah, thanks for reminding me of her, because I mean, I still see her as the antagonist, right? We have a few important moments with her scattered throughout this episode. I like that, Roderick says she's a genius, like a real genius, like, 4 or 5 of them in a century type genius. And one interesting thing about that is we haven't really seen anything of that magnitude from her yet. We have this implication that she's building some kind of like consciousness backup system
Yeah.
which if true if true is the sort of thing where it's like, okay, yeah, she is actually like just a world class genius. And then we see a lot of her kind of conniving and manipulation of her brother and of everyone around her, and that's also, very very subtle. But it's like we don't really know. Well, I guess in many cases we know what she wants. She just wants to be rich and powerful, right? And she sees kind of using him as a tool, as her path to that. I think just exactly what you said. Like, she can't do that because she's a woman, so she's going to use him as her tool because she knows she can manipulate him. That's and it works for her. She gets into a position of power. I mean, COO, to me, I've always kind of thought like the COO is the person who really knows what they're doing. The CEO is the person who, I mean, I'm being a little facetious, but like the CEO is the person who makes decisions, but the CEO person who gets things done. COO is the person who gets things done.
Yeah. In my very biased opinion, the CEO doesn't know what they're doing. Please don't look up where I work.
Yeah.
I don't want to get in trouble.
Yeah. Well, the CEO, here's another thing though. The CEO is very often the fall guy for, like, very often a company will something bad will happen. Okay. And the CEO will resign or be forced out by the board. You notice most of the other C-suite very often is not, but it's like, hey, they were all making decisions. The CEO makes the highest level decisions and then takes the fall when things don't go well. And maybe that was a great decision, but maybe, somebody else didn't execute it very well, right? And you could say, well, it's their responsibility, but it's like that point is she's putting him in the CEO role so that he can take the fall and so she can be protected, basically.
That's interesting because I'm not going to say I disagree with you. I mean, it kind of remains to be seen for Madeline because, like, the one thing that I think is true is that Madeline does love her brother. I actually do think that the scene where he finally tells her he has Catasil, she like reacts in a way that just makes me believe that she actually does care for him. But is it beyond Madeline to simultaneously care for a person and also position themselves so just in case the worst happens, I will be protected from it and they will take the fall? No. Like, I don't think those things have to be mutually exclusive. So yeah, again, I don't want to tell you wrong, but I think it's important to state that even if she's being like a Machiavellian planner, she also does care for her brother, I think.
No, I think you're right. I mean, another way of looking at this is like, she wouldn't want to be the CEO because that would make her be constantly bogged down with having to make a lot of decisions that she's really not that interested in. Like, she would rather just hire people like Pym to just take care of things.
Yeah.
And then she wants to go be the operator and go like actually do stuff, because she has her own agenda, which is kind of mysterious to us.
Yeah, definitely. Still, she's just down in the basement doing gigabytes though.
Doing gigabytes. And then also going back. So, my interpretation of this scene where she sees the image of
Verna.
Verna. For some reason, my brain said Vecna, and I was like, "That's not the right show."
It's a show of the exact same quality, I think.
I don't even watch that show, so I don't know.
I don't even know how you know that name. That's impressive.
Yeah, it's just in the culture. Verna, she sees a picture of Verna, and then she tells her driver to go to a particular place, which I took to be the bar where they met Verna.
Yeah,
but
I'm comfortable just saying that that's the bar. Yeah,
I felt like that was pretty clear. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't making a stupid mistake. So it's the bar with the raven over it because Verna is the raven, and then an actual raven lands on the bar.
You never want double raven, man. That's never good.
Raven on above the bust of Raven, and of course the bar is called Palace, I guess, which I don't remember if I caught the first time that we watched.
I didn't notice that either.
She says something about Palace as she's walking up to it. Anyway, this is clearly she understands the significance of this in the same way that Roderick does, obviously.
They both recognize her. Yeah.
They both recognize her. Whether they understand the significance of this is unclear, actually.
Sure.
That's just showing that they're becoming more aware of what's going on here.
I do just want to say that her line read, the younger Um,
And then you're gonna
Madeline,
promise
a
no
line read of "Your wife is right. It's the right thing to
more? Your
do."
wife is right.
To contact
It's
Dupont
the right
is
thing
like
to do.
never has two sentences felt so hollow and devoid of actual morality than when she says it's the right thing to do to me. Like we even cut to Annabelle, who should be comforted by that statement, but the look on her face says no.
Yeah.
This is just, we're actually gonna fuck over Rufus and we're gonna fuck over Dupont. We're just like both of them actually, to get what we want.
Yeah.
We will destroy both these people's lives if it elevates us to the top. We will use them until we don't need them anymore.
Yeah. It's the right thing to do, utilitarian. Just
I love it.
But before we move off of his sister, I just love this moment toward the beginning of the episode when Roderick is telling Dupont like that she's a genius, and then they hear her downstairs, and Dupont is like, "Oh, maybe we should bring her up into this conversation.
Maybe we should
Throw a little genius into the mix."
Throw a little genius in the mix.
Which I love because it's a little bit of a jab at Roderick, like
You're not the genius, yeah.
You're not a genius. You're not as smart as her. And then I also love the fact that Roderick kind of gives him this look, this like, beat of silence, and then just goes on with the conversation, ignoring that.
Yeah.
I thought that was great.
Yeah. I wonder, like, just to ask the question, like, it's hard to say he's not a good businessman, Roderick Usher, because he's taken this company to like this incredibly massive multi-billion-dollar company. But like, I don't know. I feel like you have a product like Ligadone, which you successfully market as non-habit forming and like the good painkiller that solves the pain problem. I think if you have that drug and you market it the correct way, I don't think you need to be good at business to keep that company successful, right? Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm in my quest to rip Roderick Usher apart as much as possible, I'm being unfair to him in this moment. But I'm just wondering, like, yes, being smart enough to like identify Ligadone as this miracle drug and recognize that like this is the one problem that all of America has, is we have this that people are in pain quite a lot, and we don't have this perfect hero drug or heroin drug that would make all that go away, and that whatever company managed to come up with that drug would just be guaranteed successful forever. Right?
I'm very sympathetic to this. I mean, I don't think all businesses are shaped like what you just described. I think there are a lot of businesses that actually are functional, and the success of the business is a reflection of the sort of skill of the leadership. But I think then there's a lot of businesses where some really lucky idea or an idea hit at just the right time, and the market dynamics favor kind of winner take all situation, which is actually almost always the case with drugs, because they're legally, you own them, right? So no one else can even compete with you. And then you end up with massive outsized success that has a huge luck component. So I'm actually pretty sympathetic to the idea that Roderick Usher basically just kind of maneuvered himself into the right chair, being the leader of this company, and then has reaped all the benefits of it. But after he got into that chair, he didn't have to do much. He just had to kind of stay in the chair. And you could argue maybe that's his skill set. Maybe his skill set is that he has remained the CEO or and majority owner. I don't actually know what his ownership stake in the company is.
I don't know.
But he's remained there for many, many years, then many, attempts to come after them legally and so forth. Maybe that's the actual skill set.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, I certainly think like running a big business is difficult, no matter if you have a miracle product or not. But I was thinking about this because we have this thing of Roderick saying, none of my kids have this one skill I have, which is the sublimation skill. And that's bullshit. And then we also kind of continuously say, none of my kids have the business acumen that I have. And it's like, well, maybe that's because you don't actually have it. Maybe that's because like, you made one decisive decision once 40 years ago, and you've just been kind of coasting off of that since then. Which I mean, like, that sometimes happens in life. But I think this is just like the show is making a lot of social commentary. I think we can just definitively say that halfway through, right? We are talking about the pharmaceutical industries. We are talking about giant multi-billion-dollar companies and the people that run those companies. Like we are really diving into this specifically, and it just would not surprise me if part of the lesson of this whole thing is like how quote unquote talented are these people, how skilled are these people. Like we make this justification of, like, as you said, like the CEO is the fall guy, and that's one of the justifications for why a CEO gets paid so much money, right? Like they have all the pressure, it's all on them. They get to reap the benefits of success, but they are blamed for the failure, and that is why we have to pay them 100 times the wage of a worker or whatever it's up to now. But in some cases, like, how true actually is that, right? And of course, in the idea of nepotism, that this wealth is handed down to these kids who did nothing to get it, right? That is a very interesting commentary. But even at the Roderick Usher level, I just wonder how much is there.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's, I think this is just an interesting topic personally, but I do notice that we haven't seen the scene where Roderick does something just, impressively masterful from a business. Like we see him doing a lot of spin and lying.
I mean, you're absolutely right that the lemon speech in last episode definitely shows that he is good at spin. Like he has an understanding of the way the world works, in a way that he could seemingly manipulate that to his own ends. Yeah. Sure.
But it's not like it's a deficiency of the show that we don't have the scene where he does some masterful business thing. Because again, it could be the point that he's not actually a great business person. I mean, very often it's his sister who is making. So if we just look at the young Roderick, okay, yeah. Young Roderick is not anything close to a smart business person. He is just a young dumb guy. He's he's very relatable, honestly, and he's just like he's getting suckered on every side, and he's going to lose. He's on the path to losing, and he's going to lose in a very sort of normal way. And his sister comes in, and she's like, "Here's the master plan. Here's what you're going to do. You're going to pretend to go along with it, but then you're going to set yourself up to actually judo them, and you're going to be the one who comes out on top." And this is her being a business wizard, right? So she's the one who's actually good at business, and he just, has the advantage of having her around to tell him what to do.
Yeah. Yeah. You're just right. And I think this is fun because we get to see over the next 4 episodes after this if we're just talking out of our ass or if there's stuff to support this. Yeah. I could be like, there's moments, and I've told you this, there's moments where I'm being cheeky and like setting stuff up, and there's moments where I just flat out don't remember. This is one of the latter, just for your sake here.
Yeah. Great.
Cool. I did just want to talk before we leave off of these flashbacks in the episode, the scene with Dupont in their kitchen, where we kind of get to do the thing where we see the Detective Dupont from the Usher stories as just being this incredibly observant, intelligent person. We kind of, I mean, you've kind of assumed that that's who Augustine Dupont is from the beginning because of that story, but we really get to see him flex it here in this wonderful monologue where he basically perfectly accurately predicts everything that's going on with their family right now. It's just great. This actor doing young Dupont, we already talked about him before, Malcolm Goodwin, but he's just phenomenal at this part. And the way, just like to give credit to both him and Carl Lumley, the way their performances match each other in a believable way too, I think is pretty remarkable. That these are both characters who I think like have a very distinct, memorable way of performing. Like I remembered this guy from iZombie because he just like the way he acts is very distinct and memorable for me in that show. And the same with Carl Lumley. Like when I saw him in Dr. Sleep, I was like, this guy is incredible. He's doing Catman Scruthers, but he's making it his own in this really interesting way. And so they're very unique. They're very powerful performers, but they are matching each other in a perfect way, I think, to make it's uniquely theirs, but it's consistent across time. And I just think that's really, really great.
I agree. I love it. Yeah, not much to add there. I love the scene of him being the investigator.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that side of the Dupont character, which I still think is a key part of his character that we're gonna see more of by the end of the show.
Yeah.
Because, you know, why else show that he has this astute attention to detail and then kind of portray him as being like, oh, I don't know what's going on. You know, it's definitely going to be
sure
revealed.
Can we talk about Frederick? I've held on long enough. It's time to talk about Frederick.
Let's do it.
So Frederick's journey throughout this episode is, you know, his wife, well, she's melted, as as he says. Maury, well, you know, Maury, she's melted, you know.
Maury, you know, well, Maury, she's melted. You know?
And so he's kind of freaking out, right? He gets handed this phone by Pym. This is her second cell phone. And Pym is basically like, find a way into this phone. We need to know what this says. And he's having this, like, it's kind of deflection, right? He's like, all the concern and worry about his wife and what was going on is being centered on this phone. And if I could just unlock this phone, I would have all the answers. I would have everything I need. And so he gets really obsessed with unlocking this phone to the point where by the end of the episode, he's like taking the bandages off his skinless wife's face in order to try to use the face match, the facial recognition match, to open the phone. Which, look, I don't quite know how facial recognition technology works on my phone. I feel like if I lost all my skin, my iPhone would probably be like, nah, that's not you.
Close but no cigar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I love him. I love how Henry Thomas is playing this character. I really, really do.
Yeah, me too. And I have the whole time. But a question that I didn't even know I had last week was, what if Frederick was on coke? Because it takes this already kind of, you know, agitated, you know, fidgety guy, and it just makes him. It's going to make all of his problems so much worse. I've been wondering, you know, what's the downfall of Frederick going to be? Presumably, he's going to be the last one that we see bite it, and him getting on coke doesn't seem like it's a good idea. And you know, it's going to take all of his normal character flaws and amplify them, and you know, his desperate paranoia. I think we're starting to see actually his paranoia around his wife having this phone. Why was his wife at this orgy? This is, I think, going to be his undoing.
Yeah. I think that's a fair estimation of what's going on with him. Yeah, I mean, and it's funny because like we know where the phone came from, right? This is the phone that Perry gave her so she could get into the party. So it is truly not her phone, right? That's the great irony of it is Pym is so utterly convinced it's her phone, and it's a phone that Perry handed her to get into the party, and that's it.
Yeah.
So like what is actually going to be on the phone that answers anything? Well, maybe something, but probably nothing, because it's just a phone that she was given that day to get into the party, and that's it.
Yeah. Can I just tell you that the sinisterness of Pym wearing black gloves all the time is fantastic.
I love this character. I'm so we need to ask Mike like how the Mark Hamill happened, right? Because like he's so good at this character, and he's using his like voice actor talents here. Like he's very sinister, you're right, but he's also very funny. Like I liked the scene when they're reviewing the footage.
Do we have audio?
And he's like, "Do we have audio on this?"
Fuck not.
Well, no, you know, that's not really what security cameras do. And then Roger gets to say enhance, which before I die, I need to have some reason to be looking at a screen and say enhance. I just need to make that happen for me.
You can zoom in, but that doesn't.
But he says that's not really a thing I can do either.
It's not really a thing either. But then later he sends them an enhanced version, which
of course he does.
Which looks, you know, it looks correct basically. I mean, the problem with those is you do reconstruction like that, and it's just an interpolation. It's not really going to be accurate, but it looks pretty accurate.
Yeah. Enough
it almost
for them
made
to
me wonder, like,
Verna.
is this even? Okay, so this is my galaxy brain chocolate going off, but I'm thinking about the black gloves, and I'm thinking about the Raven, and I'm thinking maybe Pym is kind of less working with the Ushers and more kind of working with Verna, in some
Mm.
capacity.
Interesting. Okay, that could be. Yeah, I mean, he's a very mysterious figure. We know nothing about him essentially, other than the Ushers have afforded him a great deal of power. Right? They are almost entirely reliant on him. Like he is simultaneously handling this giant government case against them while doing all this other stuff, running the investigations into the kids' deaths, looking at these like he's running all of that for them. Like, again, like we talked about, is Roderick a good businessman? Like, Pym is Pym's the guy. He's doing all the stuff. What does Roderick do? All we see Roderick do is like sit in front of a fire drinking.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of why I'm reaching for these conspiracy theories. Like maybe he's working with Verna, because last week we talked about the idea of like, how do you pay a person to do a job like this? Something that is infinitely ethically compromising, all consuming, ends up with him, walking into a warehouse full of melted people in the middle of the night to deal with some cover-up thing, and that's just his whole life. He is their fixer, and he is also their lead defense attorney and only defense attorney, and like he's supernaturally skillful, actually. So
and like it makes you wonder, like, do they have stuff on him? Yeah, like what possessed them to be so reliant on this guy? Like, how do they trust him so implicitly? Like, no one has even bothered to ask the question of like, is Pym the informant? Right? Like that's a possibility, right? That is certainly a possibility. Did he have to sign any of the documents that he himself creates? But yeah, they've just completely reliant on this guy. Yeah. And yeah, Mark Hamill's, it's a perfect role for him. It really is. His facial expressions, the voice he's doing for Pym. I really like it. And I don't always love like some of Mark Hamill's performances. Like we talked about The Long Walk. I don't know how much I liked his general in that. I thought he was okay. But I really love him here. I really do.
Yeah, I think in that case it was more that the voice distracted more than it added. But I kind of like the voice in this one.
He's such a talented voice actor. He really is. So I get that. But yeah.
Here's been new theory. Okay.
Okay.
He is a robot made by Madeline.
Okay.
Yep.
The Pymbot.
Pymbot.
Okay, I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we got a little distracted. I want to go back to Frederick, and what is, in my estimation, like the funniest sequence that Mike Flanagan has ever written, which is Frederick shows up at Leo's apartment, and the door opens, and Frederick is breathing heavily. He's covered in sweat.
Sorry to show up like this.
The show tells us it's because he took the stairs, right?
But stairs.
What I love about this joke is that the show doesn't like go out of its way to remind us that the reason why Frederick took the stairs is because he's afraid of elevators, which is like a blink and you'll miss it, like throwaway line in an earlier. I don't even remember which episode that was in that we learned that little nugget of information, but it's just really like a throwaway reference line, and we see it pay off here in this wonderful joke where the doors open and he's just breathing so heavily. He's covered in sweat, and it's because he's afraid of elevators, Matt. He's afraid of elevators, and he took the stairs.
And it is funny because I'm like, is this a throwaway joke or is this going to be relevant to how he dies? Like, anyway,
yeah, sure. Look,
yeah.
to get serious for half a minute, it might be relevant to how he dies, but also, isn't it a great symbol for how unequipped for this lifestyle Frederick is? Because if Frederick is going to be the CEO of a huge corporation in which the metaphor has constantly been climbing the ladder, has constantly been, which floor are you on, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are you on the second floor? Are you on the fourth floor? Are you up on the tall floors with the big guys? Well, he can't take the elevator up there. So like he's literally unable to get up to those floors.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think it's great.
Yeah. And I mean, yeah, I love that as a metaphor because Roderick, I think young Roderick was also to really twist the metaphor. He was not afraid of elevators, but he was afraid of what he was going to have to do to rise. And yet he made himself do it. And it was enormously costly for him to do that, but now he is in charge. And Frederick is not capable of forcing himself past that fear to do the thing that needs to be done. And that's quality of his character, that it's like it's not that he's afraid of elevators, but he makes himself take the elevators. He's afraid of elevators, so he climbs 11 flights of stairs, which it's like, just at a certain point you got to say, like, I'm going to force myself to just get over this or suffer through it.
Yeah. And you wonder where it came from, right? Was there some experience? I mean, one of the things that I can't get over is, we have all these characters, and for the vast majority of them, like, we meet them as adults. We know that they at some point in their either teenage or young adult life, they were inundated with this lifestyle and this money. But for these two, Tammy and Frederick, we see them as children, right? We see them as children living hand to mouth in this house. We know their origin, and then we see them as they are now. And that, I think, makes it all the more impactful to see how this lifestyle, how this excess and this wealth and this immorality can just destroy people. And I just think Frederick is not made for this, and that he can't even get in the fucking elevator.
Yeah, and his dad has basically said as much to him in last episode.
Yeah. Let's talk about Juno a little bit too, because Juno gets another scene in this. First of all, the moment at the beginning when Tammy says it's talking, it really shouldn't be talking, in reference to Juno.
Why is it talking?
She's so
Really,
mean
it
to
shouldn't
poor
be
Juno.
talking right now.
Just overtly mean, and Juno just kind of takes it because she knows kind of her place in this pecking order.
I did like that Frederick defended her, and part of that, you could chalk part of that up to, like, Frederick is the ass kisser of the family. Like, when he says, all I want to hear from you is sir, yes sir, who's the one that says sir, yes sir? It's Frederick, of course. So he's the one that said all she said is that she was sorry for her loss. Like, that's all she said. And he's right? It's like, and then we have that wonderful moment of, like, she's not in the will, is she?
Is Juno in the will?
Is she?
Yeah.
Oh no, Juno's not really in the will.
But we get this part at the end of the episode, and we don't know too much about Juno, right? We know that she was in a horrible accident, was also an addict, and is on Ligadone. And in this scene, she approaches Roderick and she says, "Hey, I think I maybe kind of want to lower my dose of Ligadone, or just maybe take a pause." And Matt, how does Roderick react to that?
He does not like this at all. And we see some really kind of dark underbelly in their relationship, because I think this ties really nicely into the theme of denial throughout this episode, because the thing that he most likes about her is the role she plays in his fantasy world, where Ligadone is not actually dangerous. Ligadone is not actually addictive. It doesn't actually have side effects. And look, here's my proof. My proof is that this thing that I have inflicted on the world and from which I have made all my money, it's not actually bad. Juno is the proof. And that is what he loves about her. That's why he wants to have her around all the time, to remind him, to help him with this denial. Of course, I think the fact that she's even asking in the first place to lower the dosage suggests that maybe she is getting some of those side effects. And I think we're planting a seed that we might explore over the coming episodes, where we start to see those side effects, and what happens to his worldview when that becomes more apparent.
Yeah, I think that's well said. I like that. The idea that that she is not just the proof for the public, that he can't. It's not just that he gets to hoist her up as this poster child for how good Ligadone is publicly, but as you said, like, having her close to him is his way of displacing or deflecting or denying his own guilt in this whole thing, because he has this comfort person right here. Like, just the line, and "you are my most beautiful, perfect proof," is what he says to her. And that's like, oh Lord. Like, that's what she represents. And like, you feel so bad for her immediately. And then he goes into this thing right after that where he says, "I guess I could use some cheering up though." And I couldn't help but see the comparison point between Juno attempting to cheer up Roderick here, and Leo asking Jules for a midnight blowy to help him get to sleep. That these people serve these purposes to these rich men, and that is what they are expected to do. And the only reason it doesn't happen is because Perry shows up. This is the first time Roderick sees a hallucination of one of his kids. Is Perry showing up in this moment?
Yeah, and it's in this moment of red lustfulness, like
she is
earlier.
draped in very dark red. She's draped in his color when he shows up. Yeah, I love that. So I think let's maybe finish up going back to Leo and his final moments. We haven't really talked about the confrontation with Verna when she shows up at the house and does her thing, right? This idea of she's talking about cats being apex predators, and then gets to this point of they eat their prey to get taurine, an essential amino acid. They're predators because they're deficient, a lot like your father.
A lot like
That's a great. I just wanted to make sure we at least acknowledged that line, because that's a great fucking line.
Yeah,
he's deficient, and this is really. I did want to make sure we talked about this, because I think I asked the question last week. I was like, well, what does the testing of animals that Camille is confronted with have to do with Camille's central issue, right? Because she wasn't involved in that, and I think we struggled to kind of come up with a thing. But ultimately, I think what we're doing here is less. Each and individual person is a reflection of their individual misgivings. They're more a reflection of the moral failures of their father, right? Like, so the Rue Morgue was called the Rue Morgue before Victorine went there and started fucking up chimpanzees. Like, this was a thing. This is blood that is on Roderick Usher's hands. And it was always on Roderick Usher's hands. And so the idea this time we have the cat and this being this apex predator that's going to just fuck you up because it's deficient of something. That I think that does kind of work for Leo. Actually, I'm contradicting myself as I say this, that he is deficient, so he gets what he needs from the drugs and these things. But it also does work for Roderick. And then the other one I wanted to talk about with this is Verna, what she says to Vic as she's filling out the forms when we're talking about doing drug trials in third world countries with poor people, and the good and the bad of that.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's kind of interesting because we've hit upon the abuse of animals and the abuse of the poor people of the world to try out, to test these drugs.
Yeah.
And then, I was trying to make something work in my head when it comes to tying in the cat with the animal abuse, but I think it's more incidental that it's just that Poe always puts animals in his stories.
Yeah, he really does. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm also, I love this idea of them being deficient and thus needing, there's kind of a hole in their hearts, right? There's a, Roderick didn't really have a father figure, and so he's desperate for father figures. We talked about this. He is deficient. He is trying to fill this hole in his heart where he's never been loved enough, and then he kind of inflicted that on all of his children because he never really made them feel loved. I guess that's one interesting. I haven't quite put it this way, but verbally he has this policy of like, my door is always open to my children. I would never leave them out in the cold. Okay, that's true insofar as you give them money and you have given them access to resources and power to some degree. Yeah. But you've tightly controlled that. And also it's never really converted into actually loving and caring for them in a personal way, which is really what they want. I mean, you get the sense almost all, if not all, of his children would rather get a nice big hug from him than $1 million.
Yeah.
And he's not capable of that. So he's passing on this deficiency.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I was thinking about it as I watched this episode. I was like, what is Leo's relationship with his father, right? Like, we don't see any of that. Like, at least with Victorine, we've seen them like take business meetings together, like talking about the heart mesh stuff. With Camille, there's been conversations about the spin, and like I kind of see in how Roderick loves Camille's ability to spin and manipulate, like some appreciation he has for her. And even like we get the Perry scene in the very first episode where he's pitching to him, you can kind of see some sort of relationship there. But with Leo, we've just seen like nothing. Like there's nothing there. Like the most we've seen is him like kind of making fun of what he does and like dismissing it as video games or something. And yeah, it's like there's like what is it? What is it? Like I don't think the two of them are alone in a room together at all in the show ever. So yeah, I think you're so right. Like he pats himself on the back of being this father to them, but he's not. It's just they solve all their problem with money, everything.
Yeah.
Even when there's an informant amongst them, the problem is solved by a $50 million bounty because that's all we know what to do. When we have a problem, we throw money at it until we fix it, and that's it.
Yep.
Cool. Love it. Great people.
Yeah, really warms my heart.
Is it worth talking about the ways in which, like, you know, we talked last week about Camille and I think we talked about like the bad stuff that Camille does is certainly bad. It's bad in a different way than the bad stuff that Vic is doing. But it is bad, right? Like spinning and manipulating and obfuscating the truth is like one of the biggest problems we have in our modern world right now. And Camille is like directly responsible for a lot of that in the world of our show. Victorine is lying and falsifying records and killing and possibly chopping up animals and replacing them with other animals. That's horrible. Perry throws this debaucherous party and doesn't really like check things out. That results in 70 something people getting killed. Leo is a bad guy. I'm not arguing he's not a bad guy, but like the bad thing he does in this show is he kills a cat. And maybe this is just I don't love cats as much as some cat lovers do. I'm a dog person. I like dogs more than cats. Like that, that's an order of magnitude lower, I think. Because honestly, I couldn't remember when we read The Black Cat. I made up in my head that Leo kills his boyfriend too. And of course that doesn't happen, right? But that's what happens in The Black Cat, that he kills his wife.
He kills his wife, yeah. I thought that was going to happen when he's swinging around the hammer there at the end. I thought he was going to do that.
So is it interesting that Leo is like a different kind of bad, that like, you know, all these characters are dying. They're all getting the same fate, but they are different kinds of bad people. And some of them are bad in like actions and like the hurting of massive amounts of people. And some of them are more like acutely bad. And that Leo is just kind of a shitty person who treats people bad, and who gets drunk and horribly stabs cats to death.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think you're right. I mean, his real problem is that he is totally happy to live off of the proceeds of this empire built on suffering, and never push back and never turn it down, and use it to he sort of reputation launder his way into saying, I make video games. And it's like, you don't really make video games.
Sorry, could you do that?
I said I make video games.
No, could you just?
That's what I said.
Okay.
And he's like, he's taking his father's money and then spending it on stuff that entertains him, video games, and that's in telling himself this lie that like, no, I'm an entrepreneur, right? And so that, like, you're right, that's not as bad as lying to someone about a heart surgery that's going to kill them. But it is a mundane sort of badness. And she gives him, I think they all get like an offering of an out that is appropriate to their sin. And his offering is just like, you don't have to double down. You don't have to double down on denial and pretending that you didn't do something wrong. And you could just leave.
Yeah.
And he doesn't.
Nope. And then he tries to swing a hammer at a cat on a balcony and falls to his death.
Yep.
Rough.
Yeah, I really did think he was going to kill his boyfriend.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that would maybe... I mean, I think we should just say it at this point. We've seen 3 of them. It does seem that with some exceptions, Verna is trying to let the people that maybe don't have as much guilt in this whole thing get out of there, right? Like she tried with Maury, that didn't work so well. But Maury lives still. She just, melted. She got all the wait staff out of there. The working class people all got to leave before the acid rained down. Camille's death was just, it's not like the ape like ravaged the entire Rue Morgue and like killed a bunch of people. It just killed Camille.
Yeah.
And then here Leo gets saved. And I mean, we haven't seen what's going to happen with Victorine in the next episode, but even like by stepping in and being the one that is doing the trial for the heart mesh, Verna is effectively like avoiding it being an innocent regular human being that actually would need this and might be tricked into a human trial that is in no way ready to be done. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I do. Well, I do know what you mean. I will say the big, not exception, but interesting one is the first one where they kill 50 people or whatever it is.
72.
70 people on the basis of just like, well, if you're the kind of person who's going to spend 50 grand to go to a rave, then you deserve to die. And I'm like, I don't know if I fully sign up for that, but
I just, for the record, I think that is my official stance on the matter, that if you pay that much money to go to a rave, you probably deserve to have acid poured all over you. That's just, I'm going to take a stand. And that's just where I sit on the matter.
I mean, it's very hard for me to imagine the kind of person who would do that, I guess. But clearly that exists, right? It's the whole weird thing where like, I don't know, this is going to be a weird tangent maybe, but like for pretty much my whole life, I thought like Eyes Wide Shut type stuff was just made up, that it was just like paranoid, paranoid delusions of just like, yeah, I mean, it's entertaining to believe that the rich and powerful are doing this shit because, I don't know, it's lurid and evocative, and like you can sell tabloids off it, right? But like, it's not really happening, obviously. And then the last 2 years play out, and then it's like, oh
Jeffrey?
shit.
Are we talking about Jeffrey?
Well, we're talking about Jeffrey, but I mean, I think Jeffrey, there were others. there's lots of shit that has come to light in the last few years that I don't think was publicly known before that, and it just makes you realize like, wow, there's a lot of sort of like I'm using all my strength to avoid a Warhammer 40K reference, but
I'm sorry.
Let's
get Rahul on the phone to explain this to me.
If maybe Rahul can come back and I'll just ask him, like, were you thinking about Slanesh at all while you were doing this show? Because I mean, the idea there, it's like it's a level of depravity so severe that it births an evil god. Okay, so like that's kind of the direction we're headed. Is what I'm saying.
Got it. Totally understood that reference.
I have recently felt that our culture may be on the way to birthing Slanesh. Let me just put it that way.
Okay. Well, I don't even need context to understand that. I got you.
And
we're on the road to Slanesh.
Yep,
as they say.
I think Slanesh is the perfect way to wrap up this episode.
Anything else you wanted to say?
Nope.
I will just say, just a fun little Easter egg for people. Tammy, while she's on her walking treadmill at her desk, is wearing a shirt that says Timmy and the Whack Shack, which is the name of a fictional band. And it is the fictional band that played the potluck in Midnight Mass, the Crockpot potluck, Timmy and the Whack Shack. So
love it.
It's great. Bev Keen lives, I guess.
Yep.
What this presupposes is that Midnight Mass takes place in the same universe as the Fall of the House of Usher.
Yeah, it absolutely does.
I guess I did. I know we said we were going to wrap up, but like we talked about Tammy and Bill T a little bit. But we didn't talk about the kind of the argument they get in after she sees Verna and Mike Flanagan are members of the Gold Bug prize. She gets really mad at Bill for not like immediately kicking Verna out, because apparently the rules of their cuckoldry is you're only allowed to interact with these people in our house while I watch, and that's it. You're not allowed to do anything else. And so she's very angry at him for not recognizing her and doing anything about it. Which maybe we can just believe that to Bill that didn't even look like Verna. I don't know.
Yeah, my assumption is he didn't see that at all.
Yeah.
Um,
But I did want to mention something I noticed. Bill's shirt in this scene, he's wearing a polo, but it's a polo with like a white line down the middle, and like half of it is green, aka Tammy's color, and the other half is gray. And it just sent me on this whole like thing of like, are we representing that how much of that half of Bill is just completely controlled and consumed by this woman, that he is barely even his own person. And that got me thinking about the name Bill T, because we don't know what the T in Bill T. Wilson stands for. Presumably it's just his middle name, but in the world of the show, I just love like we have this guy named Bill T, and he's married to a woman named Tamerlane, and starts with a T. So is the T in Bill T also showing how much of him is also completely controlled and consumed by this woman?
I'd simply agree. It's because Bill T is not the T is not his last name. The T is not explicitly Tamerlane, but it's like he's not Bill. He's Bill T.
Yeah,
he's under her umbrella. Yeah,
I think this is probably just true as like a fun side Easter egg thing. I think ultimately the reason why they went for the name Bill T in the show is just because they say, "Oh, that's Sil's built." Like
he's built
and working out, and that's funny.
Yeah,
and we think that's funny.
My favorite thing about all this is like he's basically doing these like jazzercise exercise videos, and like you don't actually get like big and strong and like jacked by doing like air punches. Like you got to lift weights and stuff for that. So it's just always funny when like even the whole basis of his workout empire is sort of fraudulent. Like
Matt,
yeah.
Don't come for Built Nation, okay?
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
You're not ready. You're not ready for the hurricane that they will unleash upon you.
Yeah, our whole comment section is going to be the Built Nation just ravaging us. It's going to be
They can get as strong as Bill T just by doing his exercises. Pay no attention to the fact that Matt Bidell specifically told us he had not 2 but 3 personal trainers to get in the shape he got in for the show.
Uh-huh.
Okay. I think we did it. Did we do it? I think we did it. That was such a great episode. I love the show. I really do. I'm having so much fun watching this show.
Me too.
All right. As we said, next week is episode 5, is The Telltale Heart. And Victorine is up on the chopping block. So we'll see how she dies. It's really because like you I don't know if you remember that you actually predicted Leo's death exactly, right? You nailed it, actually. Yeah, you probably don't even remember this. You said he was gonna like the cat was gonna be out on a ledge and he was gonna jump for it and fall and die. Like you said that, and you were 100% correct.
I do remember that now. Yes, I don't think I was predicting that he was gonna jump for it, trying to smash it with Thor's hammer.
Yeah. If you had said that, I would have been very suspicious. So.
No, I mean, it just seemed like we were setting this up, right? I don't know. Just like there's a ledge, there's a cat that goes out on the ledge. Yeah.
All that to be said, though, one interesting thing about the Telltale Heart is we don't necessarily know how Victorine dies from the Telltale Heart, right? Like maybe she's going to kill someone, or maybe it's Verna. Maybe like we have the heart mesh machine making its heart mesh machine noises as a perfect stand-in for the heart, possibly. But how does that end in her dying? That is the unknown.
Yeah, I'm like I have this crazy concoction in my head where I'm like, she's about to perform the surgery, and then somehow at the last second we realize that she is the one under the knife, and this is all like more like hallucination kind of trippy stuff.
Okay.
And then she ends up getting the heart mesh in herself, and then she dies because the heart mesh kills everyone eventually. Like I think I say that because the poetic like visual of her being the one who has the heart mesh in herself after inflicting it on all these monkeys and then this person is like just seems so poetically great to me.
Cool.
So we'll see.
I like it. We'll find out for sure. And that'll be next week. Let's get into our discussion question. What did we ask the people again?
What's your favorite party or rave scene?
I just want to say before we get into this, I used to like to go to parties when I was younger. I mean, not a rave, but I listened back to our conversation last week, and I was like, this made us seem like the biggest losers of all time. Like, I like parties. I just don't like these kinds of parties. Like at a loud bar, I'm not really like a go to a bar and go dancing type of person. The only times I did that in my life is specifically to meet women. That was the goal.
Right. I mean, anywhere where the music is too loud for a conversation, I'm just like, I don't understand why I'm here. And that's me. Think me uncool if you wish.
I was a big house party person in college. Like going to someone's house and just like drinking and having fun and playing games. Like that was my scene for sure.
Yeah. You and me went to a few of those together.
Yeah, we did.
All right. So first from Pear Jane. There's one answer for me. Tom and Jean Ralphio's party at the end of the world in season 4 of Parks and Recreation. After burning through $440,000 and producing almost nothing with their business, Entertainment 720, they burn their last $10,000 on the party at the end of the world. It features 2 VIP areas, a triple VIP area, and a Centurion Club Elite VIP area. No one's allowed in there. They also have 10 bouncers, beats by DJ Blunts, free champagne, tigers, a cash tornado machine, drumline, personalized gift bags, shrimp cocktail served from a wall by Indiana pacer Roy Hibbert, giant human-sized hamster balls, car key collection, and drivers provided for drunk folks. Best part, it's not a good-sized crowd, but it's not elbow to elbow. And as far as I can tell, it's free. And if that's too much for you, across town, a group of doomsday cultists are waiting for the end of the world by camping out in a public park, playing recorders, and generally just chatting quietly. 2 greatest parties ever.
That's the one I'll be at, except for the doomsday cult part. I would prefer not to do that part.
Yeah. I mean, I'd like a personalized gift bag, though. Just because, gotta
just
wonder
for the record, this party cost $10,000 to put on and was free and is like a million times better than whatever the fuck Prospero Usher did.
Yeah.
One bartender.
It's about to get wet, everyone. That's still funny to me that he thought that would be good.
Yeah, he was convinced that was like the climax moment of the party was everyone gets uncomfortably wet in their leather.
Uh-huh.
All right. DJ Nedelko says, this is not exactly what you're going for, but hear me out. The best party scene is John Wick absolutely demolishing Theon Greyjoy's security detail in the Red Circle. From the slow, steady beat in the pool rooms to the techno mashup on the rage floor, the way this entire sequence is shot and the music it is set to makes it so entertaining to watch. Plus, it's John Wick, who is freaking awesome.
Yeah, he does kill.
Go ahead.
I start to feel bad for the goons at a certain point in these movies, because I'm just like, you thought your day was going to be, I'm just performing some light security duties at this club.
Yeah.
Like maybe listen to some music, maybe just kind of chill out, maybe dance a little when nobody's paying too much attention. And then you get shot 6 times in the face by John Wick.
Yeah. And you have a family.
Yeah.
I often think about this in action movies where like the mooks and the goons just get like mindlessly shot. I'm like, that was a man. He had a whole life. Yeah. He lived for 42 years. And then one day he just got shot in the face by John Wick.
Yeah.
And we're just supposed to feel okay about this.
Right. And then John Wick sticks his gun through your head and uses it as a kind of shield, which I'm pretty sure happened in that gunfight.
Oh, almost multiple
stuck
times.
with me.
Can I just want to say, just in general, you don't love any of the John Wick movies. And that upsets me on principle, because you are like the guy that likes this type of action movie. You've always been that guy in my head.
I know. Someday I'll have to write an essay on like why exactly John Wick doesn't do it for me in the way that the others do. I think I could write it down. I think I know why. It's not going to make you...
It doesn't have Jason Statham in it. Is that why?
That's a major reason.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just say that might be the entire reason.
There we go.
Yeah.
Have you seen? There's a movie that came out just recently called The Furious, and it's like a martial arts action movie that I think you would fucking love. It's by the guys that did. Maybe it's not by the guys that did The Raid 2, but it's like the first of its kind since The Raid 2.
I was not aware of this, but yes, it looks great.
I'm so disappointed in you. I just feel like you used to be somebody.
I did.
And then
where somebody is person who knows about action movies.
Yeah.
I'll have to check that out and regain my stature in your eyes.
Please do.
All right, Mr. Munchen 19 says, the party in Say Anything. It feels like a real party. No one throws furniture into a pool. No one puts a pizza on the record player. The music isn't so loud no one can talk, flirt, or hook up. And come on, who doesn't want to play with Lloyd fucking Dobler, man? Joe lies, but Lloyd rules.
It's been so long since I've seen Say Anything. I can't comment on whether I agree about the quality of this party.
That whole last sentence to me, it was might as well have been Greek.
House of Seven Paws says, in the indescribable 1967 French comedy Playtime, the last third of the movie is the opening night of a fancy restaurant. All the preparation, even some of the construction work, is happening at the last minute, so of course you know things will go wrong, at the expense of the snooty guests. But when things start to going wrong, it snowballs so fast that soon the whole restaurant is in ruins, and everyone loves it. The guests are forced to loosen up and meet new people. Anyone who knows how to make music makes music. New mini clubs are created in different areas of the wreckage. Even the less sociable people have new games to play. Like the doorman is having a ball just pretending to open a door for people after the door has been destroyed. Oh my gosh, Playtime. We both love that movie so much. We got to do an episode on that for our which series was it for?
I think it was one of the ones where we each picked movies from the list of the top 100 movies of all time.
Yes.
And that was one of your picks, if I recall. And I'm so glad that we watched it. It was great. It was indescribable is a good description. Yeah.
But, and I also think House of Seven Paws did a really good job of accomplishing the objective of the question, which was making me find a party that I would actually like to go to. And yeah, that'd be pretty fun to go to that disaster of a party.
I agree.
Gosh, I love that movie. Yeah, you're right. It was our blind spots episodes. Yeah.
Yeah.
God, I love that movie so much.
Me too. All right, Bent Westward says, not really a rave, but I'm going with the party at the Moon Tower scene at the end of Dazed and Confused. The Moon Tower party works because it feels less like a movie scene and more like a perfect, messy memory. Everyone drifting together after a long day, no rules, no real plan, just summer kicking off. It's where all the different groups finally collide, hierarchies disappear, and small but real moments, fights, friendships, choices, just happen naturally. It nails that rare feeling of being young, free, and a little bit lost, and knowing the night won't last forever. Even though this movie takes place in 1976, it is exactly what it was like as a high schooler in the early 90s in New England. The small town I was from was stuck in the 70s, and it was glorious.
Man, I get to give Matt shit for not liking John Wick and give Matt shit for not liking Richard Linklater in the same episode. This is great. I'm loving this.
Next, we got to bring up Lost, and then we're good.
Yeah. That we'll save that for From.
I haven't seen this movie, so
Yeah, you'd probably hate it because you're a bad person.
Probably would. It's got what real moments, fights, friendships, choices. Yawn.
Everyone knows how much you hate fights.
I do. I hate fights.
When John Wick is involved.
I hate friendships. I hate choices.
You do hate choices. You think choices are a myth anyway. Hate them.
Okay, in a certain sense, all right.
We're just nailing all the. We want to talk about death and immortality? Let's do that too.
We did mention utilitarianism once today. We almost rounded out the bingo card.
Oh my gosh.
And chimps.
Oh, yes, of course. Chimps. All right.
All right, just the remaining answers. Thanks, everybody. For whatever reason, we got an unusually high number of answers from people wanting to talk about their favorite parties. I didn't actually anticipate that this would be such a popular question, but anyway, Scarlet Claret says, time warp scene in the Rocky Horror Picture Show. Baby, Can You Dig Your Sam says the staff party and Dirty Dancing. Ding Dong Doodly Doo says the Blade Blood Rave. And the Collection Combine Harvester. I don't know. I don't know what that is. I know what the first one is. I know what the Blade Blood, but the Blade Blood Rave is one I was hoping somebody would bring up.
Okay, but like what? Like, are you kidding me, folks? That's a party you want to go to? You want to be covered in blood?
Maybe Diddly Dong Doodly Doo is a vampire.
I mean, I guess that we've just. Tell me you're a vampire without telling me you're a vampire.
Yeah, sounds great. It's a great scene, though.
Yeah, it is.
Greased Tea says Patricia's Sunset Cocktails in Widow's Bay, the episode Beach Reads, with Monkey's Paw-esque results.
Again, I don't think you would want to go to that party.
I mean, if you're Patricia, you would.
Sure.
Duran Longbeard says SpongeBob's Jellyfish Jam episode. No further explanation needed. I mean, a little further explanation.
Maybe a little bit. Yeah.
Walking Dude 22 says the ongoing rave in the city of Banton from the obscure Gary Oldman James Marsden film Interstate 60.
So obscure, I've never heard of it.
Muroid says the tie between Defiant Jazz from Severance and Bad Girls from Buffy for hypnotically striking visuals.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yep. Defiant Jazz might actually be kind of fun.
That would be the party you would go to.
It's perfect for me. Kat Shepsuk. Gosh, so many answers this week. Kat Shepsuk.
I'm going to stop interrupting you. Just go.
No worries. Kat Shepsuk Reed said the Halloween party in Hocus Pocus. Steve Living Room says the brief rave scene in The Matrix for the good music and the follow the right wet rabbit cool factor. Yeah, I was hoping somebody. Yeah, here we go. Drow Ranger 1919 brings up the party at Zion in The Matrix Reloaded with percussion building to dance music. Kind of turns into an orgy, actually.
Yeah.
They don't quite show that, but it's heavily implied.
I bet it didn't cost $25,000 to go to that orgy.
I bet it didn't. You just got to have a see-through shirt or a shirt that becomes see-through when you get wet.
Do you remember when all the dumb people were saying that was a bad scene in the movie?
I do. I mean, that was perhaps the least objectionable scene in the movie.
I agree.
Amaranth Phantom says, any party in Phineas and Ferb for fun and catchy music. Phineas and Ferb music is great. Scotchfully Yours says, the ice cream scene in Ballerina carrying on John Wick's tradition of fighting in dance clubs.
Of course, Matt's not going to see that one.
Not going to see that because I hate John Wick, apparently. Okay, Road 2424 says the iceberg. The iceberg lounge rave in the Batman, a miserable experience redeemed by a sudden Batman appearance. Yeah, you know, if I was at one of these like shitty loud clubs and having a miserable time, and then Batman showed up and started kicking people's asses, I would really change my tune about clubs.
100%. If I'm at Perry's orgy and Batman jumps down from the ceiling and like batarangs the person who's about to turn the sprinkler on and then punches Perry Usher in the face, best party of all time.
I'm so happy that we agree on this. Busy Dad 82 says the super bad house party for realistic high school chaos. Honorable mention to Can't Hardly Wait. Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah.
Aqualongfish says the blood rave in the Matrix. Yep. Any party that devolves into combat is a winner. We agree. That's right.
You said blood rave in the Matrix. There is no blood rave in the Matrix.
What did my eyes skipped over to the next line for some reason. Blood rave, opening of Blade is what I meant to say. And then Odin's Ghost 31 mentions the Matrix club scene with the Rob Zombie music. And apparently the BDSM club extras brought their own costumes.
Of course they did.
I mean, it kind of makes sense. They also seem very authentic to me.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Cool.
That was a lot of answers. I'm not going to go to any of those parties. Sorry.
The best part about the BDSM club in the Matrix.
Please go on.
Is that Neo the whole time is standing like this, leaning against the wall with his arms crossed, and looks totally miserable.
I mean, maybe that's why you like the Matrix so much, is because it's you.
It's me. Exactly.
You're the one.
Yeah. He's like, I don't know why I'm here. And then Trinity shows up.
And then we all know why we're here.
We all know why we're here.
Yeah. All right. Thank you guys for those answers. Those are great. What do we talk about next week, Matt? I didn't really think this one through. So
best killer cats.
I mean, maybe they don't have to be killers. Just say like, what's the best cats?
Best cat. Best kill. Cats. If it kills someone or like is responsible for mayhem, that's ideal.
It's bonus, yeah.
Or is indirectly responsible for a death.
How do you feel about cats?
I like cats. I when I was a kid, I definitely thought cats were incredibly cool. And probably, in fact, when I was a kid, I probably liked cats more than dogs. But then I like grew up and knew more dogs and realized that dogs are actually people. Whereas cats, this is not a comment against cats. It's just like cats are like a weird elf alien creature thing, which in many ways is cooler than a person. But you can't have the same kind of relationship as you can with the dog. Anyway, I do like cats. I think they're very cool.
How many cats has Mike Flanagan killed over the course of his career?
2. I thought we had a tally at one point. I can't remember now.
No, that was for hands. I don't think that was for dead cats. We need a dead cat tally. I mean, all the kittens in that box died. I'm trying to remember if cats died in anything else. It was a dog in absentia. I think maybe the cat versus dog tally is actually pretty even. Well, no. I mean, Midnight Mass wins because it's literally hundreds of cats. I forgot about the hundreds of cats that die in Midnight Mass. Okay, yeah. Never mind.
Do you think Leo getting his wrist scratched by the cat counts as hand mangling? Probably not.
No, not enough. Okay. It's also not a real scratch. It's fake. It's not really there. So, yeah, cats. Gotta love them. Yep. Or not. All right, folks, that is going to do it for The Black Cat. Next week, we enter the back half of The Fall of the House of Usher with our 5th episode, The Telltale Heart. And as we know, it's a Victorine episode, and I can't wait. Matt.
Me too. Remember, you can reach us via email at flanaganswakepod@gmail.com or on X at flanaganswake19. And the subreddit at reddit.com/r/doofmedia is the best place to answer that discussion question. Don't forget, you can find all of our episodes on video with me making little snide glancing at the camera moments. And there's also kind of a running joke happening with these last few episodes. I'm not gonna say any more.
Wow, I can't believe I thought we were never supposed to acknowledge it ever.
Yeah, you're right. Shouldn't have said that. Sorry. Let's cut it out.
It's pretty obvious at this point. Yeah, please also, if you want to get some merch, head on over to doofmedia.myshopify.com, our merch store, where we have a bunch of different merch from all different things. Right now we have our Lemon Speech mug and shirt, which I love so much. My mug is going to be here soon. I'm always like the first or second person to order this stuff because it's really just for me, actually. It's a bonus if you guys want it, but it's just for me. So check out that. There's also a bunch of stuff there. I think there's a lot of cool stickers, mugs, shirts, the whole deal. All the usual merch that you would expect is available right now.
Yep. If you like any of our shows and you want to support us, then please consider heading over to our Patreon account at patreon.com/doofmedia. I continue to publish my weekly installments of the Choose Your Own Adventure novel that I'm writing. And Scott is well underway going into, well, I don't know what episode you'll be on by the time this comes out, but you're a few episodes deep into The Sopranos with your podcast, Gabagool.
Yeah.
And From episode should be out relatively soon as well.
Yeah, it's we've been having so much fun with all that stuff. It's great. Check it out. And if you don't want to check it out, that's fine, I guess. Fine. You hurt my feelings, but whatever. You can help us out by leaving us rating and reviews. This week's review, Matt, comes all the way from Australia, where our listener, Insane Blind Tart, gives us 5 stars and says, Matt and Scott do it again. Wow. I could watch all the episodes multiple times and not pick up on what Matt and Scott point out. Having loved Kingslingers, moving into Flanagan's wake was a chef's kiss choice. Always wonderful to hear the guys discussing the works of Mike and pose questions to help me to be more critical about what I'm consuming. Y'all said you'd run out of reviews, but honestly, we're probably just lazy. Keep it up. Well, the other thing, Insane Blind Tart, was up until 3 weeks ago. I didn't even know I could read reviews from other countries, but we're here now and we did it. Thank you for that, and thank you for everyone who's left those reviews. We really do appreciate them.
Yeah, thank you.
We're having such a ball with the show, and we hope you guys are too. It's so much fun.
I feel like I recognize that username. Maybe
you're just really into tarts.
Maybe. Anyway, thank you. All right.
All right. Folks, we did it. We're done. We'll see you back here next week for more House of Usher. Until then, cats might have 9 lives, but clearly, Mr. Flanagan did not. We'll see you next week.